Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Are you seeking to broaden your horizons, to stay relevant, and become future fit? Do you want to fuel your creativity and inspire innovation? Or are you seeking to put the kapow back in your business? Then look no further. Join Carmen Murray, entrepreneur, innovator, and tech fundie with her big personality and presentation style, as she interviews celebrities, alchemists, newsmakers, and business experts to discover the stories behind their success. The Carmen Murray Show has been designed to open your mind and turn intelligence into magic. Let knowledge be your superpower.
Hey everybody, grab yourself a cup of love, get closer, and welcome back to the show. This month, we are paying a tribute to all the women of our nation. It is important to celebrate our fearless women in South Africa and lift each other up. This is why, on the show, we ask 4 incredibly fearless women to give all of our listeners a masterclass to inspire and give a message of hope. Einstein says, imagination is more important than knowledge. Timothy Maurice Webster says that imagination is the celebrity of the brain. I truly believe a rich imagination leads you to the path of the road less traveled. The knowledge just comes, but you need to have the vision. If you can't see it, you can't be it. Everyone, I am so pleased and proud to introduce our next guest, Senamile Masango. She is the first African woman to conduct a first African-led experiment in CERN laboratory, the world's best nuclear research laboratory. And she has just been a trailblazer. And how I actually came across her was I saw her address to Cyril Ramaphosa, and very fiercely and very fearless address the condition and state of our education. And I had the urge to reach out to her, and this is why we're sitting here with her today. Senamile! Yay! It's so exciting to have you here.
Hi, Carmen. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no, it's an absolute pleasure. And, I've been following you on LinkedIn, and I must say that I'm absolutely fascinated by all of the amazing things that you've been up to. I see that you have probably every press office following you in South Africa. When I look, you're on TV. What are you up to these days?
These days, I'm busy promoting my foundation, Senamile Masango Foundation. It's about girls. I'm passionate about helping young girls from disadvantaged communities, since I'm also from a disadvantaged community in Gwanongoma, in KwaZulu-Natal. So, yeah, we Lupi women, we mentor young girls because they don't have any hope or future. They're just sitting there. There's nothing that is happening in rural areas. Why can't I take science to the community? So that is what our foundation is all about. And again, we are addressing challenges that young women facing in rural areas. Challenges like languages. Language is still a problem, since most of those young girls, they are not fluent in English. So we're trying by all means to explain the fundamental of science, because I think they are memorizing the whole concept, but it's very, very wrong. If you memorize science, you must understand the basic fundamental thing. Then after that, you are okay. Talking about our metric, one of the things that I've addressed to Cyril Ramaphosa, that in South Africa, we are more into quantity instead of quality. We even reduced the passing rate of maths and science into 30%. So so our foundation, we're trying to work or partner with government so that we can improve our education system, because education is a key. If we can look countries like USA, they produce almost 2,000 PhD students, PhD graduate per year. So what if South Africa, we can invest more in education so that we can solve our own problems? There will be no need for us to go for China, to go for Russia, to go all other developed countries. We can have our own scientists, our own people solving our own problems. And again, we will have our own industry within our own country. And it will all start with education, investing more with education.
One interesting thing that you're touching on is the whole idea of how far we've come and how everything has evolved because of science, technology, and also engineering and maths. If you just to go back a few thoughts, you mentioned that one of the biggest challenges that we have is the fact that there's a lot of young people that don't understand English properly. And, you need to take very complex subjects and try and convert that into something that people understand or that young people understand. How do you do that? Is there a specific methodology that you use? Because it's not like you can remove some of the complex algorithms or things that you need to solve.
Okay, one of the things that one can do is to have the computer that can translate into your own language. Maybe if someone can develop that app so that young people from disadvantaged community, they can understand the science in their own home language. It will be much, much, much easier that way. However, there is a problem that most of disadvantaged schools, they don't have access to computers. They don't have access to technology. They don't have access lot of things due to the lack of infrastructure. So what if our government can provide disadvantaged communities with computers?
I think it's a powerful thing, and I even think that brands can get involved.
Yes.
Because that the powerful thing is like we're all trying to solve problems in unity and problems together. So I do think that is a very valuable point in doing that. I wanna go a bit back in your life. So I read a bit about, from a very young age, you had this vision that you said in one of your interviews that your dream was to meet entrepreneur Mark Shuttleworth. And as a young girl, I always wanted to make history by becoming the first African woman to travel to space. I was so disappointed when Mark Shuttleworth traveled to space first. That made me giggle, but it's such a powerful thing to think of as a little girl. And first question is, have you met him?
No, I haven't met Mark Shuttleworth.
You yet?
Yes.
We must maybe start a hashtag for you, hey?
Yes, please, yes, please.
Use the power of social media. So tell us a little bit about your job. You're a nuclear scientist.
Yes.
No idea what a nuclear scientist does. It sounds, when I hear nuclear scientist, I think Third World War.
Is sick of Kim.
So maybe tell us,
Korea.
how did you end up becoming a nuclear scientist? And what is the significance? What problems are you working on? Tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, first of all, I'm sure listeners, they know the atom. We used to, in an atom, we have your electrons, and then inside the atom, there's this, you will shade something inside, the dark thing, then we said that is your nucleus. So a nucleus is a many-body system. It has two particles. The other one is your protons, and the other one is your neutrons. The other one is charged, of which is your protons, and the other one is neutral, of which is your neutrons. So there's this strong interaction that holds these particles together inside the nucleus. So as nuclear scientists, we're trying to understand that interaction, of which we believe it's a nuclear force. So nucleus are still 100 years old, so it's still under research, because until this date we don't have a formula for a nuclear force. So that is one of the problems that we are trying to solve. So I'm not into applications, I'm an experimentalist. So we study the nuclear structure. So I'm doing the nuclear structure. However, there are applications like your nuclear bomb you just mentioned. Through fusing two nucleus, you can get a bomb out of it. Through fusing two nucleus, you can get energy out of it. And again, cancer therapy.
Really?
Yes, cancer therapy. They're using a nucleus. They are using nuclear applications.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm feeling much more relieved now that you've told me that. But
Yes.
what a fascinating thing to be doing. So scientists are always solving big problems. So that's clearly one of the big problems
the nuclear force
that
problem.
you're working on. So tell us a little bit about you. your Africanacity story. Africanacity, APSA claimed that word and created it. It's Africans and tenacity. How did it all start for you? I believe that you've gone to varsity at a very young age, 16 years old.
Yes.
Tell us the story, how you got to here.
Okay, I am from Wanongoma. It's a small village called Wanongoma. I was raised by my father and my mother. My father was a polygamist. He had 3 wives, and everyone at home is a teacher. So my father valued education because I remember when I was 5 years old, he quit his job and we went back to varsity. So while I was growing up, my father was not there. He was in varsity to pursue his degree in art. So I'm coming from a family where everyone is educated, and that is the seed that my father planted to us. So I started attending. It was not, we didn't have grade R's then, but one of my mothers was a teacher. So I used to go with her to school because no one will babysit me. So I started attending school at the age of 3, if I'm not mistaken. So at the age of 3, I will write, I will do whatsoever that a 6-year-old can do. So I started my grade 1 while I was 4 years. 4 years.
What?
Yes. I was 4 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then I completed my matric at 16 years old, and then I started varsity at 16 years old. So my father was very, very strict. We couldn't do sleepovers. So for me, varsity meant freedom. Finally, I'm free at last, because I even attended boarding school. I was in the boarding school. So for me, it was all freedom. Finally, I can do whatever I want without explaining to someone where I've been, what I was doing, and all of those things.
Wow.
So I made friends, and I was from Wanongoma, so I made a lot of friends, and I was not responsible at the age of 16. I ended up making mistake, and I failed some of my modules. Yes, and I ended up falling pregnant. So I didn't even complete my degree in record time.
And then?
And then after, I think it was 2007. So 2008, I took a break so that I will give birth, and I will give birth. And 2009, I decided to go back to finish what I've started. So again, what I've learned from all this process is that you must accept failure. Learn from failure and pick yourself up. So it's what I did, and I completed my degree. Unfortunately, my father passed on.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. But he passed on, and he did receive the news that I've already completed my degree. So he was very, very happy about it. And my father is my role model, is my inspiration, and he is my backbone. And again, the importance of parents supporting their children, even if they made mistake. My father was the first one to pick me up while I was down. Yeah.
So, it's so fascinating to listen to your story, because in one sense, listening to you at a very young age, going to school, and your brain being overstimulated at such a young age, finishing at 16 years old, and being put in that position to go to varsity is also a lot of responsibility to take on.
It's a lot of responsibility. I wouldn't advise parents to allow their kids to go to university at the age of 16.
Yeah, maybe take a gap year or something.
They can take a gap year or something.
Yeah,
because they are too young for that.
But irrespective of that, what I really love about your story is that, it is a thing that we're also seeing in society. So it's happening a lot. I don't have the stats at hand, but we're seeing a lot of young girls still falling pregnant at the age of 16 years old, and there's important messages to take through to them.
Pregnant at the age of 16.
Oh, okay.
I was 20 years.
20 is fine. I thought 16. I was okay.
Not 16.
But irrespective of young pregnancies is it's a big responsibility to take on in your life. I mean, I'm in my 30s, and I'm not going to tell you exactly how old I am, but I mean, like, I even feel at my age, if I had to have a baby, that it is a huge responsibility. And I think when I listen to your story, it's when you have challenges, that when you go around it, whether you go over it, under it, through it, there's lessons to be learned.
Yes.
And you have to remember those lessons and get out of your comfort zone, because I think that's where a lot of young people go wrong, is they accept that this is their destiny.
Yeah.
And this is it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you have had that tenacity to say, okay, right, let's move forward.
Let me move
on.
Move on.
The sad thing is that you also, through your journey, there was also further heartbreak for you.
Yes, it was.
Talk us through what happened and how that made you feel and how it led you to now.
Okay, so 2016 January. It was beginning of the year, and my daughter was supposed to move into a new school. So we were very excited about it, because it was the first new school. She was going to do grade 2, 2006. So I went there to drop her. And then while I was sleeping around 4 o'clock, I received a call from the principal. And he said, come to school, it's about your daughter. And then I realized there's something is not right. And something is not right. And then I found out that my daughter was hit by a car, and unfortunately she lost her life. She died on the spot. She died on the spot. So I felt so empty, because that was my only child. Yeah, that was my only child, and we were staying just the two of us. So we had a good relationship, mother-daughter relationship. And she was 7 years old, and she was going to turn 8 years old in 2016. So I was so heartbroken. I felt shattered. And I decided, because I was working then, so I decided, let me take things easy. Let me go back to school and pursue my studies, so that maybe study further and take it easy. I decided to move into the Western Cape. I joined a program that called Manners, where I started the nuclear physics course. So I was mourning while I was doing the nuclear physics courses. So yeah, it was very, very hard, and I had a support system from the lecturers, and again I was also seeing the therapist, and I also had a support from people from church. So yeah, it was not an easy journey. So I pressed forward, and I passed. I think I did very well, because my average was almost 67%, if I'm not mistaken, that year.
Sure.
Yes, and then
that's incredible.
2017, I joined the group that led by Professor Ose. In 2012, my supervisor, Professor Ose, defended his experiment at CERN. CERN is in Europe. It's one of the biggest laboratory. So it was accredited as a first African-led experiment, because it was proposed by an African institution. So that is what made this experiment to be very special, because it was defended by an African institution, of which was the University of Western Cape. So 2017, all of us in the group, we went to CERN, and I was the only woman. So that is why I became the first African woman to conduct a first African-led experiment at CERN. So what I've learned in this journey is that life it's not easy, but you must press forward. You must never stop dreaming, even if life if life throw lemons, you must make a lemonade out of lemons.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, it's when I think when people compare their stories, and especially when you've gone through such a loss, I mean, that's the worst loss that anybody can go through.
Yeah, that's the worst loss. Because I didn't give up on life. That is why I want to stand out and encourage other women who are facing the very similar situation.
Oh.
Yeah, because it came to me as a shock, because I saw my daughter. It was when I saw my daughter, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning, and 4 p.m. your daughter is no more. You will never see your daughter again. So it came
It's
as a
so
shock
sad.
to me. It came as a shock, but I didn't give up on my dream. I didn't give up on my dreams.
If she was here today and she could listen in on this conversation, what would you say to her?
She was a smart kid, and I'm sure she will be proud of me, what I'm doing, what I have achieved within a short space period of time. I was going to tell her that she must also go whatever what she wants. Sky is the limit. Work hard.
Sure. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But it has groomed you into one of the most amazing women.
Yes. There's nothing that I'm afraid of. I'm a fearless woman today because of the situation. All the situation that I went through, they have groomed me. They have made my personality has improved. I'm now no longer controlled by emotions, of which is one of the very important things as a woman. You must not allow your emotions to control you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we all can learn from that. That's a true fact.
So yes. We must also learn from that. And I'm a strong woman because of all these challenges that I've
That
faced.
you pursued and faced.
Yeah, faced.
Fantastic. We're just going to go for a ad break and then we're going to pick up the conversation.
Okay.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za. Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
Hello, everybody. I'm sitting here with Senamile Masango, and she is taking us through her journey, and she is really propelling in her career as a nuclear scientist. But she's also told us her story of being a fearless woman and all of the tragedy that she's gone through and how she pursued and how it's groomed her as a woman. And very proud, Senamile, of everything that you have achieved, and you're an inspiration to many, many women. Tell me, if you look back at your story, what do you think is the habits of a fearless woman? What does that mean to you?
A fearless woman is someone who overcomes whatever that comes into her way. A fearless woman doesn't give up. A fearless woman is not controlled by emotions. A fearless woman is a woman that it's everything. It's not about her, but it's for the next generation. I always say I'm for the next generation, because a fearless woman break boundaries.
I love that. So true. And maybe this leads us nicely into the industry that you're working in.
Yeah.
And so more women are seen entering the STEM than ever before, but they are I love that. So true. And maybe this leads us nicely into the industry that you're working in.
Yeah.
And so more women are seen entering the STEM than ever before, but they are significantly underrepresented in STEM occupations in many countries. According to the recent UNESCO report, 15 to 25% of women make up the STEM workforce, and the gap is just widening and widening and widening. how can we get women more involved in this industry and get them more encouraged? What is your views on this?
So we must change the stereotype that science is not for women. And women are discouraged at the early age that science is not for them. So they are not confident enough, because if you're a woman doing science, you have to prove that you can do it. You have to work hard ×2.
Very, very, very true.
Yes.
You know, you're touching on a very interesting point. A few years ago, Lego took their figurines, I think it was in 2015, they took their figurines and they replaced little figurines with female scientists. So it wasn't just male scientists, it was now female scientist. And everybody was like, oh, what, you know, that's not even a big change at all. But you know what? It changes exactly as you say, the biases, the stereotypes that women that shouldn't be, you know, in science. It's the social signals that we send from a very, very young age. That it's something to aspire to. And I think young little girls need to meet other scientists.
Yes, true.
Like what you're doing with your foundation.
Yes, like what I'm doing with my foundation.
That's what I love about that, because they need to be exposed to a role model.
True.
And because when you see a role model, that is exactly when you realize what the possibilities are, and you build on top of somebody else's dream, and you're like, I want to be like that when I'm older.
Yes.
This is how I get there. And this is why I think what you're doing is so important, not just for South Africa.
Yeah.
I think it's something for Africa.
For Africa, because according to statistics, it's not only here in South Africa, but the whole of Africa, still women are underrepresented in the STEM field.
So, since you're working so much in your foundation with this, how can brands and companies get hold of you if they want to get involved? How do they contact you?
Okay, they can contact me on via email. It's PHATSENA1 is a digit @gmail.com. They can reach out to me through social media. Twitter, I'm Senamile33. They can like my page, Senamile Masango, on Facebook, or follow me on Facebook as Senamile Masango. I'm also in Instagram, Senamile Masango, all small letters.
Fantastic. And I found you on LinkedIn.
Yes,
so.
you found. Oh, I forgot LinkedIn and LinkedIn. Yes, and LinkedIn. They can, because really, I would love to I would like to partner with organization who have the same vision as me, because one of the challenges that I'm having is the resources. I don't have enough resources, but the vision is there. I don't have enough resources. I would like to partner with private company, government,
And there's an African proverb that says that it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, it takes a village to raise a child.
So we all have a responsibility, and people, for anybody out there listening, please get involved. This is such a great initiative, and super excited about the work that you're doing. Well done.
Thank you so much.
All right. In tradition, what we do on the show is we have a little game that we play. So no breaks on it. We don't stop. 60 seconds, 10 questions, and you just have to answer as quickly as possible. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay. So you don't have to think with the educational hat on today. This is just like fun things. Okay.
Okay.
On your marks, get set, go. Why is water wet? Quickly!
Water wet. Why water wet? Because there's no movement.
What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Chicken.
What mythical creature do you wish actually existed?
Can you please repeat?
What mythical creature do you wish actually existed?
Dinosaurs.
What food is delicious but a plain hassle to eat?
Orange.
What's something people don't worry about but really should? Okay, what makes a rainbow?
Reflection.
Okay, what clue would you have behind the scientists to discover 1,000 years from now? So if they have to discover something 1,000 years from now, what clue would you leave behind?
Big Bang Theory.
What is the most interesting conversation you've ever had with someone important?
Addressing education.
Addressing education. And that was with Sarah Ramaphosa.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got 2 more questions. What's some insider knowledge that only people in your line of work have?
Hardworking.
What scientific discovery would change the course of humanity overnight if it was discovered?
Nuclear force.
Okay. Senamile, I am very privileged and honored that I've met you, and it is so lovely to look back at the 4 incredible women: Jenna Clifford, Mandy Wiener, we had Adriana Marais, and we had you on the show to share the fearless stories of how we as women can learn from tenacity and being, African, and learning the stories behind what it takes. And I just want to say thank you very much for sharing your story with us and for being so brave and making a difference in Africa.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Subscribe to the Carmen Murray Show podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Castbox, or Stitcher and never miss an episode. Rate us so you can help other people find it. We would like to thank Brand Life Radio for the innovative container studio and for making this show possible. And listen into the other shows on www.brandlife.co.za. We would also like to thank Solid Gold Studios for managing all of the podcast portals and for Creative Chalk for the creative artwork. Join us next week as we continue this journey to get you future fit.